Welcome to the video. In this video, we're going over M19 rare drafting set review of the multicolored and artifact cards in the set. Before we get to that, let's go over the rating system one more time. So this rating system is based on we're drafting these cards and we're not in those colors, although I guess that doesn't really make sense for the artifact cards, but for the multicolored cards, these are the ratings that we would give to the cards that were basically not in those colors, and the artifacts are that they for whatever reason they wouldn't even fit into the style of deck that we're playing, or maybe they're just not playable in limited Magic. But anyways, this is the rating system that we would give them. A is a snap pick. We're going to pick this card anytime that we see it in the draft. B is a strong consideration. We'll be picking this card over everything but the very best draft cards. And as I said previous, the only really card in the set that we're going to pick over strong consideration is Murder, and only if we're already in black. C is medium consideration, so we will be picking these rare cards up over just normal playable cards in our limited decks. D is low consideration, so we're only going to pick these up if over sideboard cards. And then F, no consideration. We'll be only picking these cards up if there's nothing else in the pack for us. So let's begin. Our first of the Eldest Dragon series is Arcades, the Strategist. It's for one colorless, green, white, blue, for a 3/5 legendary creature Elder Dragon that has vigilance and flying. Whenever a creature with Defender enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Each creature you control with Defender assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. So I have this as a low consideration. I don't think that this card's very good in Standard. There might be a Bant deck that wants this, a Defender deck that comes together, but I'm very doubtful. I think it's probably the worst of the dragons, and like I really don't think that you want to be playing walls in Standard. But you know, stranger things have happened. But so I'm only going to take it over sideboard cards. There is a very slight possibility that it becomes playable, and it does have the casting cost where you would want to have maybe 3, even 4 of it, whereas some of the other Elder Dragons you would only want 1 or 2. So that sort of ticks it up a little bit, because if it becomes good, you're going to want more of them, so you need to pick more of them because it's mythic. But other than that, I don't know. I just don't think that it's good enough to see play. Chromium the Mutable is 4 colorless, white, blue, black, for a 7/7 legendary creature Elder Dragon. It has flash. This spell cannot be countered. It has flying. It also has the ability to discard a card until end of turn. Chromium the Mutable becomes a human with base power and toughness 1/1, loses all abilities and gains hexproof. It can't be blocked this turn. So I think this is a C. It's a medium consideration. I think that it's very good in the control mirror. So it's going to see sideboard play as a one or 2 of maybe. I think that it will see play, but I don't think it's only good in the mirror, because say you attack with this creature and it gets blocked, and then they use a removal spell on it. Then what do? You can't discard the card, and you can't really discard the card to make it a 1/1, because then it still dies to whatever was blocking it. So I don't know. It's kind of a tricky card. I think it might be a bit of a trap card. But for sure it is good in the control mirrors. It does break the mirror. Next up is Nicol Bolas the Ravager, 1 colorless, blue, blue, black, red. It's has legendary creature Elder Dragon. It's flying. When Nicol Bolas the Ravager enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. 4 colorless, blue, black, red. Exile Nicol Bolas the Ravager, then return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. Activate this ability only anytime you would cast a sorcery. So on the other side of this, it's a huge planeswalker with like 4 different abilities. We're not going to get into those. It's just it's an A. It's a snap pick. I think it's the best of the Elder Dragons. It's probably the only one that you're going to want to have like 4 copies of. It's possibly that you still only want 3, but I think this is going to be a format defining card. It is true though. It does fail the Chandra test. It does get killed by Chandra, but you know, it's in the colors where it's, you know, it's in black. So reanimation is a thing. I just think that this is a real, it's going to be a real format staple. I think it's going to be good for the length of the time that it's in standard. There's going to be a Grixis deck that's going to want to play this. I've already did some brews with like a red, black, splashing blue just for Nicol Bolas. That seems really good. So yeah, we're just going to snap this one off. Next, we have Palladium Moors, the Ruiner. 3 colorless, red, green, white. Legendary creature Elder Dragon. Flying Vigilance Trample, or 6/6, sorry. With Flying Vigilance Trample, Palladium Moors, the Ruiner has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet. So I think this is like a C+. It's a powerful card, but am I really going to play this over Bolas? It does come out turn 4 with Sarkhan. And it's in the colors of Ramp, so it does have that going for it. But I just don't think that I don't think it has a home right now. I don't think it's possible that it does after rotation. You probably only want 1 or 2 of these, so you know, maybe it's a B- and for the first 1 or 2, and then it drops down to like a D or something. I don't see you ever playing more than maybe at a stretch 3 of these, but I think really 1 or 2 is the limit. But yeah, I just don't see it seeing play. Vectivus Asmodi the Dire, 3 colorless, black, red, green, legendary creature Elder Dragon, 6/6, flying. Whenever Vectivus Asmodi the Dire attacks for each player, so that includes yourself, choose target permanent that player controls. So you choose for each player. Those players sacrifice those permanents. Each player who sacrificed a permanent this way reveals the top card of their library and then puts it onto the battlefield if it's a permanent card. So I just noticed how the wording of this is. So this might be a bit better than I originally thought. I still think it's like a C- D+. The reason why I had it in my notes as a D, but the thing that it can do is it gets around hexproof, which I just noticed, because you're not, choose target permanent that player. No, sorry, I'm wrong. So this is a D. This is a D. The effect is very unpredictable. Sure, you're going to get their best card, but there is a possibility that they're going to get a better card. And it's not a May ability. You have to do this for both players, and it's very symmetrical. So I don't see why you would play this over. There's the other Jund Dragon in Dominaria, although I believe it costs 1 more. I think it's a much better deal because it has haste. I think that this is the lesser of the 2 Jund Dragons available to us right now. All right, now we're into the artifacts. And the first artifact is Amulet of Safekeeping that costs 2 colorless. Whenever you become the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its controller plays 1. Creature tokens get -1/-0. I think this is an F. It's a low consideration. I can't figure out why I'd want this specific effect. There's not many effects that target players in standard, so I'm not sure. The creature tokens, I don't know. I think Plague Mare and Chain Whirler do a better job of keeping creature tokens under wraps. So yeah, overall, I think this is a low consideration, and it's not going to see play. It's possible that there's a scenario in Modern that I can't think of that this becomes playable, but I don't think so as a sideboard card. Chaos Wand, 3 colorless for an artifact, 4 and tap it. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery card. You may cast this card without paying its mana cost, then put the exile cards that weren't cast this way on the bottom of the library in a random order. So I think this is just an F. I don't think it's a consideration. There is a small chance that this becomes like playable in the sideboards, but I don't know. This is, again, one of these random seeming effects. I think it would be cool in Commander. And again, maybe it's a sideboard card, but I don't know. I just don't like these types of effects. They're not predictable on what you're going to get. And I don't think it's worth a spot in your deck for it. Crucible of Worlds. 3 colorless for an artifact. You may play land cards from your graveyard. C, medium consideration. I could see this could see play in a deserts deck right away, because you sack your deserts for their effects, and then you just bring them back. So it could see play in that deck. I just think that deck's probably too slow to be good in standard, but we'll pick them up. Pick this up over as a speculative pick. It's probably closer to a C- than a C. So we're gonna probably take it over like just normal playables, but not the good playables. So yeah. Desecrated Tome. 3 colorless for an artifact. Whenever one or more of your creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. F, no consideration. I just don't think that I think the setup cost of this is just too high. There's more powerful things that you could be doing with 3 mana. I just don't think that there's the risk and rewards worth it. Dragon Horde. 3 colorless artifact. Whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, put a gold counter on Dragon Horde. Tap, remove a gold counter from Dragon's Horde and draw a card. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. So I think this is a medium consideration. It's probably like it's like a C+. If there's a 5-color dragon deck, this goes in it. If there's even a 3-color dragon deck, it probably goes in that. It's ramp. You do need to be playing like black or red if you're going to like use this in standard on like turn 3 to then and then use this to cast a removal spell. So that's something to think of. It's good in limited as well. So I don't know. This allows you to splash. It's very good color fixing. So I think that it's a medium consideration, C+. So I would take this over some of the better playables in limited. Next we have Magistrate's Scepter. It's 3 colorless for an artifact. 4 and tap, put a charge counter on Magistrate's Scepter. Tap, remove 3 charge counters from Magistrate's Scepter. Take an extra turn after this one. I have this as an F, no consideration. It's too expensive. It takes too long to set it up. I'm sure that someone will try to break this, but I just don't see it. Maybe if it was less mana to put the charge counter on, uh, I don't see a control deck wanting it. I just don't see a control deck having the time to sink 12 mana into this before getting your extra turn. So, yeah, this is an F. Sigiled Sword of Valoran, 3 colorless for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has vigilance and is a knight in addition to its other types. Whenever equipped creature attacks, create a 2/2 white knight creature attacking creature token with vigilance that's attacking. Equip 3. So F, no consideration. I think it's just too expensive. You get blown out too often by just a single removal spell that the guy that you're trying to equip this to gets destroyed. I just don't see this as a playable card. Transmogrifying Wand, 3 colorless for an artifact. Transmogrifying Wand becomes when Transmogrified enters the battlefield, it comes with 3 charge counters on it. I blew that. Anyway, 1 tap, remove a charge counter from Transmogrifying Wand, destroy target creature. Its controller creates a 2/4 white ox creature token. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. D, low consideration. I'm sure that there's decks that will want this effect. It may be a sideboard card in the red decks against control. You can transmogrify your own indestructible Hazoret, and then you get a free 2/4. But overall, I just don't think it. It may make it as a sideboard card, but that's it. So I have this as like a D-, although it is good in limited. So it's a good card in limited. So you could pick it up, and it's good in any color. So you might pick it up earlier just because it's better in limited than it is in constructed. I also forgot that there was a land that we need to review, Detection Tower. It's tap, add 1 colorless. 1 tap until end of turn. Your opponents and creatures your opponent controls with hexproof can be the target of spells and abilities you control as though they don't have hexproof. D, this is a low consideration. The only reason that I don't think this is a no consideration is because of the +6/+6 green enchantment with trample. If that becomes a thing with hexproof creatures, then this becomes a playable card, possibly just in the sideboard, but maybe even in the main deck of some of the control decks. It's like a D-. I think I'd still take good sideboard cards over it, but maybe I wouldn't take bad sideboard cards over it. Well, thank you for tuning in for the M19 Rare Draft review, and that completes the series of videos that I have on this. If you like the videos, click the subscribe button, and you'll find out whenever I publish new videos. Also, if you enjoyed the content, I also stream on Twitch every weekday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. So you can go see me there. There'll be a link in the description to my Twitch channel. All right. So thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.